As you are coming in, we will get started in just another minute or so. Vanessa and I are just catching up. We've known each other for quite a while. Gosh, I can't believe the first time we met was in Budapest.
Can you believe that? That was 2018, my first sourcing summit ever. And it was kind of like the decision point for me. I got back on the plane on my way home and I wrote my resignation letter and decided this is what I wanted to be doing full time. So Shannon, you literally changed the direction of my career.
That's amazing. I don't think it was the community. It wasn't just me. But I remember meeting you and I was like, this woman's going places. Like she's something else, like in a very good way. It's like, when you meet people and you just know. So yeah, that was.
But you're making me blush.
Well, let's go ahead and officially get started because I see people have been joining us. So welcome to Hiretuality. My name is Shannon Pritchett. I'm going to be your host today. We have a wonderful agenda. This is our third session. We've been doing these for the past two other Wednesdays. We have 2 hours worth of content for you to share. This is kind of our internal event where we're kicking off new and cool things and also bringing in some amazing speakers such as Glenn Cathy and Vanessa Rath today. And so, we are just super excited that you're here. So being that this is our internal conference, I'm not going to sell Hiretual too much to you. And most of you, I do recognize on here as loyal customers to us. So thank you so much for your business. If you are unfamiliar with Hiretual, we are an amazing global recruitment suite for you. We're known for our sourcing. It takes you above and beyond LinkedIn. For example, we have almost 800 million candidates in our database that you can source. And we take it to their personal email, not just to an in-mail, so that you can have a higher response rate. That's just part of our system. We do integrations with CRMs, applicant tracking systems, both ways. Of course, we have a recruitment marketing product and even marketing insights, which is my absolute favorite part of our product. For those of you who have known me in the past and my connection with like SourceCon and other sourcing events, I'm big into research, and that's why I continue to use our product on a regular basis because I just love finding market trends. So if you need any information, we'll be talking to you throughout this whole event. We're going to kick it off with Vanessa, and then we're going to move on to talent maps, which will have our product team talk to you about the roadmap and some of the cool products that are coming. Then we're going to get into our partnership ecosystem. So we'll talk about how we integrate and some of the partners that we have. So you kind of see if, perhaps these are some of the tools and technology that I use. How can I integrate Hiretual with them? And then if you haven't seen the demo yet, we are going to finish with the demo. If you are a customer and perhaps have been using our product but might have a couple of questions on how you can use it better, highly recommend sticking around for that AE-led demo. Tommy's going to be joining us, and he can answer any questions you have and maybe show you a trick or two that you might not have seen before. So I do recommend, if you want to, stay around for that demo. All of this will be recorded. Give us like a week or two. We'll send you the recordings once that is ready. But now I'm pleased to introduce my good friend Vanessa, who lives all the way on the other side of the world from me. I live in Texas. Vanessa lives in South Africa. If you were just listening to our conversation, we met about 3 years ago in Budapest, where I was hosting the SourceCon conference, our first ever SourceCon European conference, and Vanessa attended as, just as an attendee. And true to form in the SourceCon world, I loved her so much that I ended up flying her all the way out to the US so she can be a keynote at our SourceCon Seattle conference. And she has just been a keynote at so many events from there. She's launched her own training company. She's so busy, I can barely find time for us on our calendars to catch up because she does trainings multiple times throughout the day. So if you need anything, she's one of the best, in my opinion. So glad that she's giving back to our industry. And I'm going to stop sharing, Vanessa, and turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome. And I'm excited to follow your presentation.
Oh, wow. What an intro. Geez, I think that's something that I'm going to take. I'm going to record a sound clip. And anytime I'm feeling down, I'm just going to listen to that. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. If you
actually were to pay me, I could say nicer things. I'm sure. We love you.
I'll make a plan. Do you know how far our mighty South African rand goes? So, so first of all, I'm going to say good evening because it's my evening here. It's 7 o'clock in the evening. And thanks for really such a warm introduction, Shannon. And Hiretual, the whole Hiretual team. I'm sure that, as Shannon said, a lot of you who are on here are regular customers. You know how great the product is. I'm just here to back up those thoughts. Before I get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to the PMG group. I am training them next week. We're starting, and apparently they're on here listening. So I just want to say hello. So my presentation today, what are we going to be discussing is why every talent acquisition team needs a dedicated sourcer. So it's something that I'm passionate about, and actually something that I learned was actually a thing back in 2018 when Shannon and I met in Budapest. And yeah, it was this there that sourcing for me became a reality. And I was so happy to find this wonderful thing called sourcing. So who am I? As Shannon says, I spend a lot of my time standing here, delivering training. I'm a global talent sourcing trainer, but I also work as a freelance sourcer. And the reason why I do that is I'm passionate about sourcing. I love it. And I find if I'm keeping my sourcing skills sharp and up to date, I can improve my training. I'm constantly updating my training. It's literally something I'm doing on a daily basis as I learn new tips and tricks. And I really enjoy both sides. So at the moment, I seem to be doing more training than sourcing, but there is going to be a change in that balance, I think, next year. I'm also passionate about personal branding. I'm proud to say I've now been running my own company for the last 2.5 years, and I haven't had to cold call for business yet. So that for me is awesome because, let's face it, no one likes cold calling. My side hustles, guys, it's 2021. If you don't have a side hustle yet, it's time to get one. I do a lot of keynote speaking, as Shannon said, and hats off to Shannon for kind of launching me in the right career direction with that. And I also spend a lot of time in the South African bushvelds taking photos of these amazing animals. And one day when I'm big, I think I'm just going to take some more photos of animals because it's what I really enjoy doing. I love wildlife photography. On that note, if you can hear a funny noise in the background, it's because it's a bullfrog mating season in Johannesburg in South Africa at the moment, and the bullfrogs are going mad outside this window behind me. So I do apologize. So let's get started. And, the first thing I want to do is I want to give a shout out to Hiretual for hosting me. And I actually met Hiretual for the first time, as Shannon said, when I was in Seattle. I was delivering a keynote at a SourceCon conference, and I thought what they did was absolutely amazing. At the time, the company didn't have budget. It wasn't something that was on the cards. So I kind of put them onto the back burner. I then picked up an incredibly difficult sourcing project for a major company out of the US. You may have heard of them. They go by the name of Twitter. And they decided to open up their African headquarters in Accra, Ghana. And they enlisted my services to help to build that team. Now, I had tried so many different ways of trying to source people. I really and truly had. I had exhausted Meetup, Facebook, LinkedIn. I had written Boolean searches until they were coming out of my ears. And what I really have to say is the one tool that I had the most success with during this project was Hiretual. And for me, that was really important because a lot of the tools that I see are very US focused, very US centric. And for me, it's wonderful to find a tool that is actually truly global. And since then, I've become a massive fan of Hiretual. I promote it everywhere that I go, just because for me, it works. And that's the most important thing about a tool. So let's start with what is a sourcer, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? We have the tools, but we also need to make sure that we understand how the tools work. So sometimes for me, it's easier to actually talk about what a sourcer isn't. And the first thing is a sourcer is not a junior recruiter. So I see a lot of companies that hire people, taken like maybe people at a grad program, and they say, right, come and join our talent acquisition / HR team, and you can be our new talent sourcer. Now, the problem with this is that they have no training in this space. They have no training in the space. Amen. Thank you, Shannon. Sorry, I'm just going to keep an eye on the chat quickly. And it's something that, you're almost setting somebody up for failure. So what I discovered and what I loved about my first sourcing conference was that being a sourcer is actually a standalone position. It's a position that takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of technical understanding. And above all, for me, is it requires you to be creative and to think out of the box. So we just need to stop thinking that a sourcer is a junior recruiter in this space. So for me, the best definition of what I found of what a sourcer is is a sourcer is an expert advisor to hiring managers and businesses. I just wish that more people would realize the value of having a sourcer on your team. And sourcers need to realize that themselves. I think for a long time, the sourcers, the recruitment team, the talent acquisition team have been viewed as that ugly red-headed stepchild of the HR department. And for me, that really needs to change. And a lot of it has to come from our side and, prove our worth. Those kind of things are really important. We want to be the people that are often referred to as the human rock that companies rely on. And we can see that at the moment. The mere fact that there's more of a demand for tech talent sources than there are for software engineers speaks volumes. Also, a good sourcer is someone who is going to turn Boolean into talented new colleagues. And I love that because that is exactly what we do. We are the Boolean masters. So in today's presentation, what I want to discuss with you is I want to look at the why, the what, and the how of sourcing. Let's just really break it down and get down to the fundamentals of what a sourcer is. And hopefully we will realize why we need one of these mythical beasts on your team. And the reason why I say mythical beast is that often when people ask me what I do and I say that I'm a sourcer, I'm sure that they picture that scene with Mickey Mouse, stirring around a cauldron about being like a sorceress and mixing spells and putting curses on people and things like that. But we really do need to go into a lot more detail about being a talent sourcer. I started telling people for a while that I was a professional stalker, and now I actually just take the time to explain a little bit more about what we do, because it really is something that is so topical these days. So what we're going to start with, I want to look at 8 reasons why I believe that you need a dedicated sourcer on your recruitment team. And the first reason is this, and this is what I'm really noticing out there as a freelance sourcer, is that the competition for talent just went global. I cannot explain to you the number of companies that are getting in touch with me, big name companies out of the USA, out of Europe saying, Vanessa, we're struggling to find talent here. We need to start targeting Africa. What advice can you give us? And for me, that's just absolutely amazing because, being born and raised in South Africa, I sometimes feel like we're the forgotten continent. Yet we have the most amazing talent here, especially in the tech space. We have well-educated, polite, professional individuals that live in Africa, and they just need a chance. So for me, the reason why you need a sourcer is not someone who's going to rely on or can only find talent in a certain geography. So what you often will find with a recruiter is that they're used to having a network in a certain geography. They use job boards in a certain geography. And when you take them out of their comfort zone and they have to go and look in a different geographical area, that's where the problem often comes in. Where a sourcer is not going to have those issues. A sourcer can take those keywords, they can take that Boolean, they can adapt it, and they can find you good talent anywhere. And that for me is going to be more and more important as we head into 2022. The second thing is that 86% of the most qualified candidates for your open roles are already employed. And we know that. We know that we're all headhunters now. It's not just a role for people sitting on that perch like I used to view headhunters. They were the important people in the agency that I worked for when I started out in my career. And they were the ones who got retainers and were always seen as, the recruitment gods. Basically now everyone is a headhunter and we need to go and find candidates that are not on the market. So first of all, often sourcing candidates has now become the easy part. The difficult part is having the skills in order to be able to persuade passive talent that they want to come and join your organization. And that is a really big thing these days. So we need to start considering things like this, is that people are not just loading themselves on job boards anymore. We need to be far more proactive about going out and strategically building talent networks, talent pipelines in order to get the right people into our organization. This seduction or wooing process can take months now. It really is something that is an art. The next reason is that it's proven that passive talent is more likely than active talent to want to make an impact on your business. So if you have framed the opportunity really well, you've made it sound like this is the best opportunity for the candidate, how it's going to skyrocket their career, how they're going to be challenged, how they're going to learn new tech, whatever it is that is the hooks that you are looking to get this candidate on board. These people are going to shoot through the interview process a lot quicker, and they're actually going to work harder to prove themselves. Where it has been proven, and this comes from one of the reports from one of the US-based email reach out campaign companies. They say that these people are going to be way better in the role. And it's something that I've actually seen. It's something that I've experienced, and definitely something that it makes a candidate more enjoyable to work with through the recruitment process. Also, when surveyed, 54% of HR professionals say that direct sourcing cuts their recruitment costs. And I often refer to sources as being very similar to growth hackers. And growth hackers are people who go for big growth, massive growth on a very limited budget. It's normally someone that you're going to find up in a bit of a startup setup. And HR professionals, let's face it, don't always have big budgets. However, I do wish that they would spend their budgets more wisely and not spend so much of their budget on the blue devil. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but LinkedIn Recruiter is expensive, and there are better tools out there, in my opinion, that I would prefer to use. So what we need to look at is that we need to look at sources who are resourceful, who are innovative, can look across multiple platforms. They're not just tied into LinkedIn, and they're happy to go and just have fun and explore the internet and see what they come up with. Another good reason is that a skilled sourcer is going to maintain a steady flow of variable candidates to develop a strong candidate pipeline for your business. So it's all about these days getting a strong candidate pipeline, building a network of talent, people that you know that you might not have a job for right then, but they're a brilliant profile, they're well respected in the community, and one day you would love to have them on board in your organization. And this is what it boils down to. It's about getting in touch with people before they know that they want to work with you. It's all about relationship building. And that's something that I really want to highlight, is that we now have all of these tech skills that are tech tools at our fingertips. We don't want to hide behind them. Let's use them to take away all the menial and the admin tasks. Another reason why I love Hiretual, because it does that for me. And I get to spend more time being a human being and engaging with other human beings, which for me is just brilliant, because that is where my strongest skill set lies. Also, being a full 360, full stack recruiter, whatever you want to refer it to, there's a lot that needs to be done. I mean, you're looking at business development, you're looking at finding candidates, you're looking at running candidates through an interview process, you're looking at closing a deal. There's a lot that has to be done. For me, I take my hats off to 360 recruiters, because having been there and done that for several years, it's actually an incredibly difficult role. There are so many things that you need to remember. You know, one of the things that really isn't my strength in this life that I'm living at the moment is admin. It's not something that I'm very good at. It's something that I always put towards the end of the day or the end of the month, and then it's always a rush, and it's always just a pain. So for me, you need to find the right personality to really have a successful 360 recruiter. But if you have a sourcer and their only role is to go and find candidates, engage with candidates, build a talent network, build a talent pipeline, then let's work to people's strengths. And I think if you look at your existing TA team, you're going to find people who have that natural affinity to being better sources. You're also going to find those people who prefer being a 360 recruiter. You're also going to find people who are better at managing a client. And I think that that's what we need to identify, is that for too long we've had full 360 recruiters. But let's maybe start breaking up that role and letting people decide what part of the process do they enjoy the most, and let them work towards that and just become better at that, almost becoming more of a specialist. So for me, that's definitely something that has happened to me in my career, and something that we need to foster. Brett, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Also, sourcing helps to improve your employer brand through nurture campaigns and community building. At the moment, I'm seeing lots of exciting roles out there for people who are going to be a community lead for a company. I saw a head of community recently. There was some other role that was also, someone asked if I'd be interested. I think it was a sourcing community pipeline developer. It was very long. It sounded very important. But for me, these roles are becoming more important, because what we're doing is that we are using our employer, the employer brand of the organization, to attract people to the company. And it's all about that community feel. You know, people are choosing companies now based on their brand, based on the values and the mission of the organization. It's not merely about just working for the company that's going to pay the most. A lot of people, you know, post-COVID, we're living through a pandemic, want to work somewhere where they have a greater purpose, where they can add more value. And one of the reasons that it's becoming a little bit easier to get people to buy into your brand is because people are more willing to share about mission, values, and what people can do for the organization. Also, a lot of people that are trained turn around and tell me that they rely very heavily on referrals. Now, referrals are a great source to get people into an organization. However, what we often find is that people refer people who look and sound like them. So this isn't great from a diversity perspective. I would much prefer a more targeted approach of going out, you know, having before you go and do this, taking a step back. Which kinds of diversity do you want to focus on? Because lo and behold, believe it or not, there's way more diversity than just gender diversity and racial diversity. You know, what do you want to focus on? What are your delivery points going to be? And how are you going to improve those? So for me, a targeted kind of laser pointed focus on these people's communities is going to be a far better way for you to bring in diverse talent in whichever sector you feel would be best. So now that we've looked at why you want to have a sourcer on your team, let's have a look at what I believe are the 3 qualities that make a great sourcer. And this really is something that I've been working on for years now. And it's something that I've been able to implement and, you know, be really practical about. The people that I see that are really excelling in this space have these 3 qualities. There's lots of people in the sourcing community that will attest to this, and you can identify it. And, you know, the likes of a Glenn Cathy, who I know is already presented here. And also bear this in mind, you might already have some of these people on your team. And the first thing for me that's really important is someone who's very conscious around their online brand and their digital footprint. You know, at the end of the day, we're the CMO of our personal brand, and you want someone who's investing a lot of time around their personal brand and who has that online credibility. And the thing is that with that is that it's far easier when talent comes to you. You know, if you have got recruiters or sources who are building fantastic online brands, they are actually attracting talent to your organization just by being who they are and just by posting a lot and feeding that talent network, that talent community via social channels. Again, we see this word popping up of a growth hacker. These are people who understand how to growth hack their personal profiles and their personal brands in order to raise the brand of your organization. The second thing is that what makes a really great sourcer is someone who's going to come up with different candidates. They're going to go and have a look in places where no one else is looking. Because let's face it, I train companies on a daily basis all over the world. I always start my training with this question of, where are you currently sourcing talent? What always comes back to me? LinkedIn and the local job boards. So a sourcer is someone who's not going to rely on those and is going to find candidates that potentially don't have a presence on those platforms. So sites like Quora, big Q&A sites, is a great place to go and find candidates. Behance is wonderful for your creative people. If you're looking for UI or UX developers, web designers, graphic designers, this is your place to be. ResearchGate is wonderful for people in the academic space. Often people who've written their masters, got their PhDs, written a dissertation, they are published on a platform like ResearchGate. And anyone who's working in the tech sourcing space must know about GitHub, a wonderful place to find developers. So if these are all new and different to you, I encourage you to go and try them out, go and have a little bit of a play around on the platform. There is life outside of LinkedIn. And the third and final thing that I believe makes a good sourcer is that someone who can craft an amazing outreach email that will elicit a response from passive talent. And this is really important because I'm almost finding these days that half the battle is finding and identifying these new individuals. And the second part is actually sending out a message that people are going to respond to. Both of these things Hiretual does for me, which is amazing. And just to finish off, how do you identify, grow, and nurture a sourcer? Because hopefully I've triggered something in my presentation so far that's made you think, hold on, this is me. Vanessa's talking about me. Or it could be something about, you identify with someone in your team who might have these skills. So what I want to talk about here is that, sources are naturally talent magnets. They're excellent at building networks and communities. It's often something that they do without realizing it. I mean, I always was one of those children who on their school report said, has high influence and gets everybody worked up and then knows exactly when to keep quiet when the teacher walks into the room. And that's what it is. It's people with high influence, people who understand the importance of attracting talent to people who, believe in karma, do unto others, those kind of things. So also, another thing about a sourcer is that sources are curious about absolutely everything. They don't accept anything at face value. On the flip side of this is that they're not scared that they're going to break the internet. As I say in my training, you're not Ralph, only Ralph breaks the internet. But these are people who are curious. They want to go and have a look at any platform, any site out there. They're always asking the question, what else? Where else? Where can I go and find talent? And they're not just happy to settle on going onto LinkedIn, looking on LinkedIn, finding a profile and messaging the person. That is a sourcer is going to cross-reference people across platforms so that they can write a better outreach message. And what they're also going to be doing is that they're not going to always use LinkedIn as their starting point. Also, what makes sources really good is that practice makes perfect with sources. So they're always going to try and find that perfect Boolean. I often get asked this question in my training. Please, can you leave me with a Boolean string that I can just use for everything? And you know what? You can't. I don't believe that there is one. There are certain search parameters that you must throw into a Boolean search string. But to be honest with you, there isn't a perfect Boolean search string. And nearly done. Also, sources are the people in your team that have either done this already or they are on their way there, is that they have broken their addiction, or should I say dependence, because it sounds better, on job boards and LinkedIn. We need to realize that not everyone's on these platforms, and we actually need to start fishing in a lot of different talent pools and then cross-referencing people across the different platforms. And that for me is that something that is really important is that you're going to go and find a goldmine of absolutely amazing candidates. And that's what a real sourcer will do. And finally, and I'm not biased at all, being a talent sourcing trainer, is that it all boils down to training. I see a lot of companies saying, okay, brilliant, we need a sourcing team. You, and you're going to be our sources. And then leaving them in a dark room. Okay, that doesn't work. First of all, you need to have a look for the people who have the qualities that I have shared. And then it's all about training them. Because it isn't something that just happens overnight. It is something that takes a lot of trial and error. You need that curious mindset to begin with. And you want people who are willing to change. I train a lot of what I refer to as dinosaurs, people who think that they've been successful in recruitment for the last 5 or 10 years, whatever it might be. So they're just going to keep doing what they've been doing. And I must say that this is something that I'm really passionate about. Do not go into building a sourcing team without thinking that you can train these people. It is so vital because there really is so much information out there. And in closing, what I want to do here is I want to say that I leave you with a quote. You have all the tools and resources you need. What you do with them is up to you. And I came across this quote the other day. It was after I'd been working with Patrick to work on this presentation. And what I want to say is that Hiretual is amazing. It really is a fantastic tool. But I really truly believe that you need to understand the power of keywords. You need to understand how the power of keywords can include, but can also exclude things from your search. But with a tool like Hiretual, you are going to save so much time. So I'm not talking about those recruiters who are only doing high volume recruitment. I'm talking about those recruiters who are working across loads of roles and they really want to bring down their time to source. I do believe that Hiretual is amazing. I think that it's one of those tools that I wouldn't like to do without. I'm very grateful to be an ambassador for Hiretual and to have it in my arsenal. And it's definitely my starting point when it comes to any sourcing. That's it from me. Hold on, I just want to leave you with a parting thought over here. Another one of my photos, Shannon's coming to visit me in Africa one day so that she can see some of these wonderful animals for herself. Those are my contact details. Guys, just get in contact with me. I'm not difficult to find. I'd love to chat more about why you need a sourcer on your team.
I love that, Vanessa. Thank you so much. You said so many great points, and it's, I did a lot of thinking, while you were presenting, and it's just so amazing. One, first off, how the role of a sourcer has really changed. Brett, if you're listening and want to be added to this conversation, just give me the thumbs up. When I was a sourcer, we had to literally hack websites to get information. We didn't have any automation whatsoever. None that I can think of.
No.
I think like a tweet deck was like the only automation we had. We had nothing. And so back then, God, I hate it when I sound old. I know I look like I'm 25, but really I'm 26. Back then, it was, who could find the candidate was the best sourcer. And it's not the same anymore, because with a tool like Hiretual or any other tool that you might be using to identify talent, it's not hard to find people, but it is hard now to find the right people. And I think that's where, automation has been both a blessing and a curse. One, it's a huge time saver. Anyone can, using a tool like Hiretual makes the juniorist recruiter / juniorist sourcer the most senior person they know. But, just because you can press a button and get names doesn't make you a good sourcer. And that's where the job gets hard. It's the identifying, it's the selecting, it's the refining your search. You mentioned about Boolean strings. That also rang true to me too, because there isn't a search that can do it all. And the most beautiful thing I've seen sourcers do is when you give them the same position to work on, how they take two different routes to get different results.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I just love how we really have in the past decade redefined the role of a sourcer. I'm pleased to see more sourcing positions. I love that we are giving them the credit that they deserve. Because they're
but also Shannon, just to jump in there and say is that as the role has changed, so has the need for the tools. And all I can say is thank goodness that we have a tool like Hiretual here. And I'm not just saying that because I couldn't cope. And yes, I do agree with you that, your most junior sourcer, can become the most senior sourcer. They're coming up with all of these names and all of those things. But you know what? Good on them, because they're willing to, they're making the change. They're exploring a new tool. They're probably going to find out functions that I haven't even had a chance to look at. And you know what? Good on them, because I think that that's the future. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for curious minds, and we're looking for you guys as the software vendors and the tools to keep up with the pace that is required of us. And I think that that's the important thing in this day and age, is that keeping up with the new developments and people who are going to move with us. Because if we're not going to move, we're going to be dead in the water.
Exactly. Well said. Well, thank you so much again. And just a reminder, a recording will be sent out as soon as we polish it up and put in our edits. But I think now is the perfect time to proceed with our product. We have a wonderful presentation to continue down our product roadmaps with my good friend Amit here. And Amit, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about talent maps. So super eager to see what you have in store for us.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thanks for the introduction. Appreciate it. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Can you all see my screen? Okay, so I'm Amit and I'm a product marketer here at Hiretual, and I have an exciting update for you all. But before we dive into the product update, I'll give you all a quick overview of what Hiretual is, right? So Hiretual is the next level recruitment software, and it is built on the 4 essential needs of any recruiting team, which is engaging the talent. We start with sourcing the right talent, then we engage with that talent, and then collaborating among the team members, the hiring team, and then the ATS, the applicant tracking system, right? Where all of your talent lives, like people who have shown interest in your organization, people who have applied to your company. So these are the four like core essential needs of any recruiting team. And that's where Hiretual comes to solve each and every function, right? Starting with AI sourcing. On the top left, I have the screenshot of the AI sourcing page, and we have more than 750 million plus candidates on Hiretual, right? So, and we offer more than 35 plus filters so that you can really narrow down on your search. Filters like general filters like job titles, locations, mandatory skills, and you can like enter diversity, clearance, and as Vanessa mentioned, that there are like specific like specific websites where you can source candidates from, and not all candidates live on LinkedIn, right? So here you can really use the tech filters where you can source directly from platforms like GitHub, Kaggle, and Stack Overflow. And then we have healthcare. I saw that someone in the comment asked for like, are there any platforms where you can source from like healthcare websites? So in Hiretual, you can source from like do healthcare specific search where you can find candidates from ZocDoc or WebMD. If you're looking for like PhDs and like graduate students, you can do a scholar search, right? And you can literally go into the nitty-gritty that, okay, I want this person to have this many number of patents or publications. Here on the bottom right, we have sourcing configuration for admin users. Using this, an admin user can really build the hiring strategy for the team, right? If you want your team to source more candidates from underrepresented groups, you can turn on the diversity search. If you want them to not source candidates from a specific list of companies, there could be several reasons, right? It could be like competitive reasons, legal reasons, or maybe a cultural difference. So you can simply add a like company exclude list from which your team members will not source candidates from, right? And there are several other filters like enabling the security clearance search and the blind sourcing mode. So this is just an overview of the AI sourcing function. I would encourage you all to stay with us until the end. And Tommy, who is my colleague, will go over AI sourcing in detail, right? All of these filters that you see, the 35 filters, right? Let's move on to the next step, which is engagement. Now you have sourced the right candidates that you think are a good fit for the role you're looking to fill. And now you want to really engage with them. You can engage with them right here on Hiretual. You can build nurture campaigns, and there are several engagement functions. For example, like you have remade email templates, which you can share with your teams. For example, there is a template that one sourcer is using and is like really receiving a good response. That sourcer can share that template among the entire team, and it can be leveraged by everyone, right? We have other function like variables, which you can use to really personalize the engagement. You can add the candidate's job title, you can add the company where the candidate is currently working, and even their social links. So, and use these variables to make the candidate feel like that, okay, this email was directed to them, and you have really spent time on doing research on what the candidate is doing, right? And there are several other functions like engagement insights. You can set reminders, you can like track your email engagement. And there is this one new feature that we launched a few weeks ago, which is poll, right? Here you can see that, would you be open to a quick call to discuss more? And I have 3 responses, which is yes, I'm interested, not interested, and contact later. By using poll, you can really enable a one-click reply, right? And so that candidates do not have to spend time writing the entire email. And most passive candidates are like that, right? So here you can really filter out your very first funnel, which is reaching out to candidates. And in return, you can like increase your reply rate so that now you can really spend time engaging those, like nurturing those candidates who are interested in learning more about this specific role and your company, right? So this is what the engagement feature looks like. And moving on to the next part is collaboration. Now here at Hiretual, we have invested a lot of resources to make like collaboration efficient among the recruiting team, right? It's not just the sourcer or the recruiter. that does the hiring. But we have sourcer and recruiter in the front. We have the hiring manager and maybe a third person who might review the portfolio. And all of them work on one single candidate, right? So it's not an easy process. And like there's a lot of back and forth messaging, and there's a time lag which increases the recruitment time. So here you can use collaboration to really shorten the recruitment time. And here's one such example. You can share profile in Hiretual. Yeah. So let's say, for example, you can share this candidate's profile. I can select a team member and add a little message over here, and then send it to the hiring manager. The hiring manager can review the candidate profile, add their feedback, and then send it to you. So by using this, you cut on all those emails and calls that you set with the hiring manager and get quick feedback so that you can move to the next step, right? So let's move on to the final part, which is Talent Data Cloud. Now, ATS, applicant tracking systems, they are very important to all organizations because you might be using same ATS since last 10 years, 15 years, 5 years, or you really recently started using an ATS, right? But here lies all your candidates that have shown interest in your organization. And this data is very valuable. And we understand that. So Hiretual can integrate with most of your, with your ATS integration. And at this moment, we support 30 plus ATS integrations. Some of the names are like Workday, Talio, Greenhouse, and Bullhorn. You can use Talent Data Cloud to really enrich the candidates that live in your ATS, right? For example, someone who applied to your company 10 years ago. Now, the profile in your ATS is not the latest one, but the one that was 10 years ago, right? So you can enrich those profiles by integrating with Hiretual, and then you can reach out to these candidates who showed interest in your organization. And this is not all about Hiretual. And at the beginning, I said that Hiretual is the next level recruiting software, right? And here's why. Introducing Hiretual Talent Maps. Hiretual Talent Maps gives you actionable data-driven insights, which you can use to make smart decisions, right? Now, some of you are familiar with Hiretual Candidate Insights, and Talent Maps comprises of two parts. One is candidate insights, and the other part is company insights, right? Using candidate insights, you can really it gives you information on a specific market that you are sourcing for, right? And this information will give you a better understanding whether on what's the availability of the talent in this specific location and what's the average market value. Now, since most of you are familiar with candidate insights, let's not spend time on this slide and directly jump to the app, right? If I click on candidate insights, it takes me to this page. And what I would do over here is outsource for a software engineer role. And I would enter a location as, let's say, since I am in San Francisco Bay Area, I'll enter that location, right? Now for candidate insights, we really have two use cases. One, if you are a sourcer who is hiring for a role that you are not familiar with, or you are looking for a role or in a location that you have not sourced before, this is where candidate insights can come and help you out to make you familiar with what the market looks like, right? So if I click on generate insights, it gives me insights on the number of professionals with the job title software engineer here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I can have a look at the top titles. And here you can see that I have data on the number of professionals who changed jobs within the past 12 months. I can go and change it to 6 months. And you can see that 6.85% of professionals change jobs within the past 12 months. So with this information, you can get an idea whether it's going to be easy or difficult to source talent from this specific market, right? Here you have the top skills, and these are the top companies where the talent with software engineering role have worked at. Top companies, and these are the top past companies, right? And if you scroll down, you get an idea of the average market value of candidates, and this is the average compensation. So you can use this insight to really plan on the budget. And then we have the diversity data, right? So this is not all. We have added this new feature where it's not just data, but it's also, it will give you more information on the people who are really working here. Let's say, for example, top companies. You want to target employees that are working at Cisco, right? So I can click on Cisco, and you can see that there are 7,000 professionals who have worked at Cisco, and these are their profiles. I can like do a targeted email engagement campaign and reach out to these candidates. And here you can see that I have insights on these professionals. Professionals from Cisco, 6% of them changed jobs in the past 12 months. And you can really like deep dive into this. The another use case over here is you can like right before you start sourcing, you can like sit with the hiring manager and set the expectations, right? Like you can tell them that based on what you want, here's what's available in the market. And here you can go and export this insights with the hiring manager. And you can do that as a PDF or a spreadsheet. And I'll export this as a PDF. And you can see that I have this several titles that are available in these insights, and I can drag them. Let's say the hiring manager is more interested towards diversity. So I can like organize it and bring it to the top. The hiring manager is interested in, let's say, the top industry, top locations, right? So maybe we can do that. And then you can decide on whether to keep this role as a remote or on-site. And then I can click on export. And then you can see that this PDF is downloaded. And if I click on this, here's the PDF report that I can share with the hiring manager. It gives me data on 7,000 professionals who change the jobs, the search criteria index, right? Let's move on to the next step, which is company insights. Now, company insights, these insights can be used by several functions in the organization, right? It can be used by sources and recruiters to tell like compelling stories to passive candidates, right? I'll give you an example once we go through the product. It can be used by a senior talent acquisition leader to get a 360-degree view of the organization and make smart workforce decisions. And it can also be used by a hiring manager to address the current and future gaps, skill gaps, right? And have a look at the competition and see like where they stand in comparison to their competitors. So this is the company insights. If I click on start, it takes me to company insights. And you can see that on the left-hand side, I have 4 filters. I can enter the name of the company and generate a report. I can enter location, job titles, and skills. Now, since this product is still in development, I'll take you all to the design files. Here you can see that I have run a company report on Hiretual. These are the job titles and skills. Don't go for the numbers because they are not actual numbers and are an example. You can see that this is the general insight that I get on Hiretual, which is it's based out of Mountain View, California. The industry is computer software, the employee size, whether it's public or private. And here I have information on the growth rate of employees in the past 12 months, right? The number of hires that the company made and their attrition rate. So this is one example which a sourcer can use. Let's say, for example, your company has a growth rate of 168%, and your competitor has in the same industry has a growth rate of, let's say, 8%. So you can use this insight to really reach out to the passive candidate who is working at your competition and tell them that, hey, see, this is the data. Your company, the company that you're working at, has a growth rate of 8%, whereas at Hiretual, the growth rate is 168%. And you can determine where you will find more career growth, right? And this can be a really good talking point as a sourcer. Then here we have 8 different insights, which is titles, talent move, attrition, location, skills, diversity, education, and competitors. Speaking of titles, you can see that I have insights on top titles changed. Let's say you want to look at your competitor who is like the best performer in your industry, right? So you can see that what are the top 3 titles that your competitor is hiring. And this could be one of the reasons why they are being successful, right? And the top 3 titles that are decreased, you can see the number of employees by functions. Here you can really determine whether your organization is really research and development based, or it's about sales and marketing based on the number of employees you have. You can have a look at the organization structure of your company or your or your competitor. Here you can see that like I'm doing a function-based organization structure, which is product team. I have head of product. And here you can see that I get a direct comparison. 12% is the data of your competitor and 8% is my company, right? So you can see that 12% of my company have like someone in the product function, and vice versa, there's 8%, right? You can get more information on leadership teams change. Moving on to the next insight, we have talent move. Here you get the overall talent move, what's the inflow, the outflow, and what's the net change. You can get information on employee inflow and outflow by company. You can get like, where's your talent moving? Like when they leave your company, where are they going? Is there any specific competitor that's poaching talents from you? And then you can get information on where you are hiring the most from, right? You can look at the inflow and outflow by location. Then you can also look at the internal hires. For example, your competitor, they made internal hires, they had like 25% internal hires compared to your 25%, right? Let's move on to the next insight, that is workforce attrition. Now here you can see that in 2019, we had 12% workforce attrition compared to the industry average attrition, which is 10%, right? So now this is an area of concern. And you as a senior talent acquisition manager, this is your area of concern, and you would like to solve this problem, that what's the reason behind this attrition? Why are people leaving? And you try to bring this down. So to really find the root cause, and this is where the attrition insights can come into place. You can look at attrition by function, where you can see that, is there any specific function in my company where the attrition rate is high, right? You can go and look at attrition by location, whether it's specific location based or whether it's specific diversity and race based, right? And now you know like where you have to look into, and then you can go ahead and solve the problems. You can really find the root cause, whether it's like you can say cultural difference, or whether it's the reason behind it is like compensation, and you can see that if there's any specific function that's not meeting the diversity, right? So these are the insights that you can get. Let's move on to the next insight, which is location distribution. Here you can get insights on your competitor, that what are the fastest growing locations. For example, we have San Francisco, where my competitor has the highest number of employees, and New York City has the second highest number of employees. New York is also in the fastest growing locations. Now, let's say from a competitive perspective, I would not worry about San Francisco because they are based out of there. Not about Seattle and Sunnyvale because they are in the same West Coast region, right? But seeing that the New York City is their fastest growing location, I would be curious on what my competition is doing in that specific location. Are they like trying to expand? Is it like market expansion? Are they trying to get market share in that specific location? And I can get information on the number of hires that they have made, right? So here you can see that I have location, and I can click on these employees. And here I'll get all the information on what type of employees, what specific roles my competition is hiring in that location. And then you can get an idea, like whether it's a sales and marketing move, or whether they are building a research and development team in that specific location. And you can use this competitive advantage, like intel, for your advantage, right? Let's move on to the next insight, which is skills. Here you can get like, what are the skills life cycle? For example, what are the new skills? What are the growing skills, top skills, and the declining skills in your organization or your competitors' company, right? And here you can see that all the skills that a specific workforce has. And here you can have a direct comparison that, let's say, for example, you are the top performer of your industry, right? And you hired most, like, let's say, the highest growth was seen in your recruiters, which is leading to the success of your company. And then you can see that, okay, your competition has like 8%. And so here you can get like, what's your like real competitive advantage? Is hiring good people or people from a specific role? if you're a high-tech research and development company, maybe you're hiring more electrical or software engineers, right? So this is the insight that you can use from skills and use it to your advantage. Let's move on to the next insight, which is diversity. Here you can see that I get direct comparison with the industry diversity analytics, right? This is Hiretual. These are the underrepresented groups. And here I have the industry average, right? I can look at diversity by function. I can really check whether there's any specific function that's not meeting diversity goals. And as Vanessa said, right, that it could be like because there are too many referrals. That function is hiring only based on referrals. And the problem with referrals is people refer to those who speak like them and look like them, right? And here you can like really come in and change, like create the hiring strategy. So this is diversity and analytics insights. Let's move on to the next insight, which is education. You can get insights on what are the highest degree your talent in your organization have, right? Here we have like different degrees. We have bachelor's, master's, doctors, MBA. And here you can see that I have a comparison. I have the organization I searched for. This is the industry average, and this is my company. And I can do a head-to-head comparison. And maybe this is also one of the factors that is leading to the success of your company, or the reason why your company is thriving or your competitor is thriving, right? You can get more information on the schools, like specific schools your competitor is hiring from or you are hiring from, and majors that your competitor or you are hiring from. Moving on to the last insight, which is competitors. Here you will see that there are two sections. One is public companies and the other one is privately held companies. And if you want to look into any specific competitor, you can simply click on See Insights, and it will give you the entire competitive report that we just saw. So with that said, this is where it ends. And if you have any questions related to talent maps, candidate insights, or company insights, please leave them in the chat, and someone from my team or I will reply to them. Thank you. Back to you, Shannon.
Yes, thank you so much. I love seeing what's coming down the pipeline. I think this is so great, and I just can't wait to get this out. So thank you so much for that presentation. All right. Well, I want to keep the ball rolling. And one of the most important parts about our company is our partners. You know, a lot of people don't understand what goes on to make sure that everything in your ecosystem, you know, integrates perfectly. We all get along and everything flows seamlessly. And there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to make sure that your experience as a recruiter or a manager or a director or VP or whatever position you are with the company is as seamless and effortless and as easy as possible. And part of the team that handles that is our partnership and integration team. So I'm very excited to bring on Ayush, who's going to walk us through the Hiretual ecosystem, and he's going to talk a little bit about who we integrate with, how we integrate with, some of our APIs, and even what's in store in the future. So Ayush, feel free to take it over. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Shannon. Let me go ahead and share my screen really quickly. Hopefully no technical glitches with that. All right, let's see. I don't even see my screen. Let me just make it in the presenter mode. All right, perfect. That worked out better than expected. But hey everyone, thanks for taking the time to join us. Let me start off with a little introduction about myself. My name is Ayush Jitin. I am a product partnership specialist here at Hiretual, and I'm based out of our Mountain View office. My primary role is to drive the product and business development of Hiretual Labs. And along with that, I help onboard our partners onto our partner ecosystem and work on planning several initiatives with them. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today at Hiretuality today, and let's get started. Over the next couple of minutes, I'll talk to you about Hiretual apps. But before jumping right into Hiretual apps, let me remind you once again of the four main pillars of our product. The four main pillars of a product that's helped hundreds or thousands of employees find their next top employee are as follows: AI sourcing, talent engagement, team collaboration, and lastly, talent data cloud. During the Hiretuality sessions over the past few weeks, we've covered each of these pillars and walked you through some of the highlights and updates we've made recently. However, over the next couple of minutes, I'll talk to you about our integrations, which can be easily found under Hiretual apps. So the question arises, what is Hiretuality? The recruiting space is constantly growing and changing. With several technologies readily available, it can be difficult to find the right suite of products to meet your unique recruiting needs. That's where Hiretuality comes into play. Hiretuality is our in-app solution ecosystem that helps talent acquisition professionals use their technology platforms to meet the complexities of their recruiting needs. In Hiretuality, you'll find seamless product integrations with applicant tracking systems, ATSs, calendar scheduling tools, single sign-on providers, and several more to come. Hiretuality centralizes all of your recruiting needs in one place. In this image on the right, you can see some of the highlights from our app ecosystem partners. Over the next couple of minutes, I'll cover some recent updates we made in each of these verticals. Next question that you probably have is, what can Hiretuality do for you? I'd like to highlight three words over here: tailored, automated, and seamless. Hiretuality allows you to have a tailored tech stack to suit your unique recruiting needs. Hiretual's extensible and scalable platform enables your talent acquisition team to build a customized tech suite that powers your entire recruiting team. With so many technology providers in the market, you're able to create a completely tailored solution, unique to your organization, and all of which integrates effortlessly with Hiretual. Hiretual also enables automation to reduce manual work and improve productivity. Your team will be able to reduce the amount of administrative work for each role while increasing the accuracy and freshness of your talent data with the help of Talent Data Cloud. Once your applicant tracking system is integrated with Hiretual, we're able to consolidate and enrich all candidate profiles in your ATS with information from the open web and several other sources to make Hiretual your single source of truth. As a result, the simplified recruiting workflow is going to improve your team's efficiency as well as productivity. Lastly, Hiretual Apps enables a seamless integration to fit your recruiting workflow. It gives you the chance to pick and choose the technologies that work best for you. More importantly, it gives you a peace of mind in knowing that these technologies have been vetted by Hiretual and that we will support the growth of your unique business needs. At the same time, ensuring that it can fit seamlessly into your existing recruiting workflow. So once again, the three main words with what Hiretual can do for you is tailored, automated, and seamless. Now, within Hiretual you'll find categories such as applicant tracking systems, single sign-on providers, calendar scheduling, and more to come. And if you'd like to have one of your own solutions to integrate with Hiretual, don't hesitate to reach out to your account manager or customer success manager to raise a request, and we'd be happy to explore it. Hiretual's AI technology, paired with the power of our app ecosystem, truly amplifies your recruiting solution and the value they can bring to your business. Next up, I'll provide some updates in each of these categories. Speaking of applicant tracking systems, I'd like to highlight a few ATS integrations that we recently released. As requested by our customers, we are proud to launch the talent sourcing and talent data cloud integrations with Bullhorn, Crelate, PC Recruiter, and Workday, to name a few. With over 30 ATS solutions on Hiretual and an enhanced focus on staffing ATS solutions, you're able to source from Hiretual's 750 million plus talent data. And no matter which system you use, you will be able to leverage one or more of Hiretual's integrations to source, engage, refresh, rediscover, and import or export seamlessly. Next up, we have single sign-on. As a recruiter, one may have a host of applications and services that you're accessing in your hiring process. Our single sign-on integrations provide a seamless, safe, and secure hiring experience for users in any business environment to access all their SSO-enabled applications via their respective single sign-on provider. We offer single sign-on integrations with Okta, Microsoft Azure, Ping Identity, and Duo as well. Teams can now experience Hiretual the same you would access any other application in your SSO-enabled network, with one set of credentials and without compromising the safety of your data on a web-enabled application. Lastly, our users are able to experience ease of scheduling right here within Hiretual itself. We've recently launched Hiretual Meetings, a beta feature to help recruiters quickly schedule interviews so that you can continue your outreach inside Hiretual. Once your Google or Outlook calendars have been integrated, this feature will greatly reduce the amount of back and forth between your recruiter and candidate, as you can easily share your availability directly via Hiretual. This GIF on the right demonstrates how easy it is to schedule an interview from within Hiretual itself. That was just a little bit about Hiretual Apps. As you can see on the right, we have ATSs, staffing ATSs, SSOs, and calendar scheduling. And I've highlighted some of the bigger features and bigger updates that we recently made in each of these verticals. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, over to you, Shannon. I'm just wondering if there's any other questions in the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. It doesn't appear we have any other questions as of right now.
Okay.
Ayush, we still have, let me turn on my camera. We still have a couple of minutes. Do you want to talk about some of the partners that we are currently working on?
Absolutely. Like you can see in the images, we're making major updates with some of the staffing ATSs, as you can see, Relate, PC Recruiter, Bullhorn, as well as eRecruit possibly in the works. In terms of ATSs itself, we work with all the bigger players in the market, such as SAP, Workday, Oracle, Taleo, and iCIMS as well. These were definitely our bigger focuses for the coming quarter, and hopefully we'll update it as we go into the next year.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
in terms of SSOs too, like SSOs definitely enable a very easy easy access to Hiretual as well as other ATSs, or even other programs such as the tools that recruiters might use for their respective recruiting tech stack.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
I think now is a good time too to take any questions from our audience, see if anyone has anything before we bring on our next presenter. All right. All right, it looks like we have no questions. Thank you so much, Ayush. We appreciate everything that you did for us.
Yeah.
Our next presenter just needs a few more minutes, so it looks like you guys are stuck with me for the time being, but that's okay because I do have the gift of gab. So I want to check in with our audience to see if anyone had any questions in relation to our product in general. Also, now would be a good time to use the chat. I'm just curious to see where people are calling in from. I do recognize some names, but does anyone have any product related questions that we can answer for you? Silence is always a good thing. Hey, Jim's on, Dallas. Yep, you got two people, actually three, because I know Rob is in here from Dallas as well. So you got me, Rob, and Jim representing Dallas. So, oh, we got Atlanta. That is also great. Man, I haven't been to Atlanta. That was also one of the last cities I went to before the pandemic forced me home. So Shay, thank you so much for sharing that information. All right, well, as we get ready for our next request, I do want to say when we get into the demo, now is always a great time for to put the sales team through some rigorous tasks. So if anyone has any special position that you would like Tommy to look for, please go ahead and also enter that in the chat. We'll typically come, first served basis. So if you guys can give us some positions, and if you, a nurse in Bellingham, Washington. Did we do that one last time? I can't remember, but maybe we'll focus specifically on location. So I like that, like a lot of nurse searches. Oh, male nurses in Nashville. Oh, you know what? My stepdad is actually a male nurse in Nashville. He works for Williamson County Medical Center. So there is your sourcing bonus. And he's always looking for a new job, by the way. I actually just saw, because we're getting a lot of healthcare. I saw an advertisement that somebody shared on Facebook that said entry-level nurses right out of school are now getting paid up to $90 an hour, which is just absolutely crazy to think of that, nurses are making up to $90 an hour straight out of high school. I know, speaking in Nashville, my mom is also a nurse in Nashville. I don't think any of the nurses at the hospital where she works at, which is Vanderbilt, make that much. That is just a crazy statistic, and also shows how competitive the healthcare market is. All right, so it looks like we have Okay, looks like, sorry, we're having issues with our presenter coming in. 1 second.
Quite a few interesting suggestions from all of our attendees. Global payroll manager, interesting. ADP Ceridian. A lot of interest in the healthcare sector too.
Yeah, and good question. Do we find Hiretuality being used in the nonprofit sector? Yes, we do have several nonprofit clients that do use our product. Ooh, product marketing manager. I'm actually looking for one myself. That is one that we are currently working on here at Hiretual. And wow, that position is extremely tough to find. I might need to connect with you offline to see what you guys are doing, because that's been a position that's been awfully tough for us to source for. All right, so we'll just give Tommy a few more minutes. It seems like Zoom is having some difficulties today. Thank you for all these position suggestions. All right, very happy to work out some of these once we get to the demo. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm working both on the back end trying to get Tommy to join us here.
And in the meantime, do you want me to pull up just apps in general and show everybody, like, how it just looks in the platform, and just like probably showcase a little bit on that side?
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, because Tommy's going to join as an attendee. I'm going to transition him over.
No worries. Zoom can be tricky sometimes. Yeah, so in general, this is where you'll typically find all of our apps residing. We have everything listed on here. These are just some of the integrations some of the ATSs that we currently integrate with, and of course, there's a lot more in the works that you'll find out with time. And then of course, we have broken down the ATSs, calendar scheduling, and then of course, we have everything just in one place. Like I said, some of the featured ones are definitely our calendar schedulings, as well as Bullhorn, Crelate for the staffing spaces, and then of course some of the bigger names of, like, Lever, Greenhouse, Smart Recruiters, Workday, and the likes. I guess Tommy's here, and that's my cue.
I had the same issue earlier, Tommy, so I don't think it's on your end. I think it's a Zoom issue.
No, that's always, I always blame it on Zoom when in doubt. It always works. Awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone staying patient there.
Yes.
My name is Tommy. I'm going to be walking through a quick demo of Hiretual. I'm going to essentially show you the workflow from starting to source to moving these candidates to your ATS. I'm also going to be showing you other features as well. If you have any questions.
Tommy, before you get started, if you look at the chat, we have several positions that need to be worked. And so we have payroll managers, product marketing managers, and let's see here, what else? Yep, payroll location is actually Houston with an I think that one would be interesting, a payroll manager. So
okay.
I'll let you get to it.
Sounds good. Yeah, that works. Yeah, just drop any questions in the chat as well. I'll try to run a high level overview of what it would look like in Hiretual working these roles. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'd say drop them in the chat. That'll probably be the best way for me to get to them. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Awesome. So I'm an admin at Hiretual. So when I first log in, this is my dashboard. I can see everyone's activity. As far as the recent projects they're working on, I got their real-time activities here on the right. I can see the messages that are going out. So it gives me a good, like, in the moment snapshot of what my team's currently working on. Yep. So, but in order, most people are going to be using Hiretual to source the open web as well as their ATS. So they'll just come to source candidates here in the top left. That's going to bring up our AI sourcing window. One of the values of Hiretual is we're going to be sourcing from dozens of different data sources on the open web to find this candidate information. But really, there's 45 in particular that Hiretual that people will know that we get a lot of the information from. So we're going to have just about all of LinkedIn's database, and then Hiretual, we have all of the public profiles, which is about 95% of their database. For your engineering roles, we're going to be finding profiles on GitHub, Stack Overflow, Kaggle, Angels List. So finding candidates outside of LinkedIn and their work in the open source community. But then we're also going to have, we also have partnerships with the job boards like Indeed and Career Builder, where we get a certain amount of profiles from them every month. So Hiretool targets a lot of passive candidates, but there's going to be some active folks that are on job boards as well. So we're really giving you the largest talent pool of any sourcing platform on the market. We're going to have contact details for about 90% of folks as well. So I know there's a payroll manager in Texas we can search for. I just joined the Zoom, so I don't have all the details, but if someone who wants me to work this can like give me a couple, details about the role, I can go ahead and run a search here. This is our live environment. So this is what your team would be seeing as well. So I'll just kind of walk you through initially what's happening here. So just typing in payroll manager, we'll throw Texas in here in case anyone, unless there's someone wants me to drill down more into there. Let's see, so I'll be checking the chat too. Oh, Sugar. Okay, we'll go Sugarland. We'll go Sugarland, Texas. Sorry if I have to pause. It's hard. I gotta check the notes, check the chat. So we'll go Sugarland, Texas. You're allowed to search by city, zip code, state, country, continent. And so right now we're looking at payroll manager in Sugarland, Texas. We got about 2,079 candidates popping up now. Think about that as a minimum number. Over time, as you're selecting these candidates as a good fit on the right here, Hiretual is collecting those data points and finding these similar candidates. So Hiretual becomes more intuitive the more that you use it. One of the things I constantly hear from my customers, and actually the data backs it up on our business analytics side as well, is that people are running less searches and viewing more candidates the more that they use Hiretual. So they're spending less time tweaking their searches, more time actioning candidates. So over time, you really start to notice that using Hiretual. And throughout my search, I'm selecting candidates as a good fit. You can see Shannon here. We found her information on Career Builder. So here's an active candidate here. Another Vicky here, another one on Career Builder. So they said we're gonna have a nice mix. We're gonna have a mix of passive and active folks that we're gonna be looking at here. And then so it looks like management might be one of the skills as well that we're looking for. And so we'll select management here as the mandatory skill. We also have preferred skills as well. So obviously the mandatory is going to be your must-have. Then your preferred skills are going to be your nice to have, and so Hiretual is not going to rule out people that don't have your preferred skills, but they're going to put people at the top who have the mandatory and the preferred. All right. So we got 1,300 candidates in the pool. And this is just one way to go about your search. As you can see here, now down the bottom, I can actually run a Boolean string if I want, or just search based on keywords. And Hiretual, we actually have a cool Boolean builder as well. So instead of having to, remember all the parentheses and, all the, the quotation marks, make sure they're in the right place and having to strain your eyes at the computer, Hiretual will just take care of that work for you. So this is just one way to go about your search. You also can copy and paste a job description as well. And have candidates be match that job description. One other thing I do want to show you on the insights here is that we can actually look at the top titles coming up in my search. So Hiretual is more of a context-based search versus a keyword-based search. So Hiretual is pulling in similar titles that are also found on payroll managers' profiles. But we can also add in some more here on the right if we wanted to, and just really open up that pool a little bit more. But it's nice if it's a brand new skill set for you or one of your recruiters, Hiretual is able to find similar titles. So you don't have to be a subject matter expert or know every title that goes into the market. Hiretual's context-based search will help bridge that gap until your recruiting team is fully knowledgeable on the skill sets they're recruiting for. So a question from Mike, can we limit the search results by source? So we're not able to, Hiretual is going to pull all the sources in that Hiretual is finding. The way Hiretual works is think about like, we're sourcing from a data set. So you can see here on the right, Hiretual is going to LinkedIn and to Career Builder and to Google and finding this information in real time. So it's not like a database that we're mining from, because a database, that information can get stale. The way Hiretual works, it goes to these sites in real time, pulls back the information, and that's how we're able to have up-to-date. That's how Hiretual is able to have up-to-date profiles. Oh, yep, and ADP payroll first. Is that it's? Oh, here we go. ADP payroll. We'll add that in. Thank you for catching that, Anita. All right. All right now, and so now that's our standard filters there. Now I'll walk you through some of our advanced filters here. Our company filter, this allows you to build out a list of companies that you like to see folks from and have that list ready to go each time. Similarly, you're also able to exclude companies as well. So a lot of our clients in the search firm space and the staffing space, they'll have a list of their current customers, so they're not reaching out to those current employees. So that's and also down here as well, you're able to search based on industry, hundreds of industries to select from, company sizes, and then also down here, I really like our private company filter. A lot of the customers, a lot in the startup, more of the startup space, and also in the those who hire for the startup space, like this private company filter here, because they're really able to see based on funding rounds. We actually can source people based on based like leaders that have taken a company public or through a certain round of funding. And we have a partnership with Crunchbase to get this information. All right, then our experience filter. This is how you rule out folks who have just started. Oh, let me actually get rid of that. Go back to that private company filter there and get rid of that. All right, good to go. And then our experience filter here. This is how you rule out folks who have maybe just started at a company. Education, if you want to target maybe years of graduation or more particular schools that you like to see folks from. We have about 100 languages to choose from in case there is a second language needed. Now our diversity filters, this has been really popular amongst our customers since we developed these a couple of years ago. Now you're able to you're hire from these underrepresented groups, source out of these underrepresented groups without having to have these like long crazy Boolean strings in LinkedIn. I spent a lot of my time in LinkedIn Recruiter before I got here. There's a reason why I'm here now. But yeah, now these filters, you're able to click and you're able to or select all and really have your team focus more on these underrepresented groups. A lot of our customers, how they'll utilize this is when a role first opens up, they want to actually they want to invite people from these underrepresented groups to apply for the role. So they'll actually right when a role opens up, they'll use these filters here, put people in an automated email sequence and link the job description to it. That way you're actually inviting these folks from these groups to apply for the role to try to get them in the pipeline early and make it an equitable hiring process. Yeah, this has been very well received by our customers. For those of you recruiting for any kind of any government agency or anything that needs a security clearance, we have our clearance filters here. Our Texas Civic filter. Now, as a former technical recruiter who spent a lot of time spinning my wheels on LinkedIn Recruiter, this has been really popular amongst all of our tech recruiters using Hiretual. This won't apply for this role, but I do want to walk you through it anyway. This allows you to source based on expertise. So a lot of recruiters are on LinkedIn Recruiter, sending emails to engineers that aren't really checking their LinkedIn anymore. This is allowing you to focus on their open source coding work while also getting their email and possibly a phone number from them from their pages as well. So a lot of our, this is a way to target candidates outside of LinkedIn and also how to find their expertise, maybe that they're not listing on a LinkedIn profile. So it's really a nice way for our teams that are using Hiretual to reach a new audience that other recruiters aren't necessarily reaching out to. All right, let me check the questions real quick. Oh, we'll go with a public company here as requested. So we'll go down here. Oh, sorry, go back to my company filter. You go public company. And we have our US healthcare search. For those of you healthcare recruiters out there, again, another way to target candidates aren't necessarily logging into LinkedIn as much on these more healthcare specific sites where you can look at their certifications and specialties. Our Google Scholar filter, for those of you out there maybe looking for like a chief technology officer or someone in a high level research role. This is a way to target folks that are cited in the academic community. And it's also nice. A lot of our customers who use this will reference their work they're finding in Google Scholar, and it's getting a higher response rate by referencing maybe an article or somewhere they were cited or a conference that they went to. So again, just a way to target these folks that aren't being targeted as much as those who are using LinkedIn Recruiter. And then our US work authorization filter as well, looking for folks with US citizenship or a green card. All right, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm going to select a few more candidates to go to my pipeline. I'm going to do that by hitting good fit here. And you can see we have their contact information hidden until you want to reveal it. This way you can keep on sourcing candidates, but you only use your contact credits when you want to reach out to the folks. All right, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna save to a project. Now each rec you're working on will have its own project, and this is where the AI is based. And so each time your team has another payroll manager position in Sugar Land, Texas, now you can actually come back to this project. The AI is already familiar with with the types of candidates you're saying are a good fit. So it actually cuts down your sourcing time by coming back to this project. Also, as long as you keep this project open, Hiretual is going to send you new candidates every Tuesday and Thursday that fit your criteria. All right, so let me check the questions real quick. Looks like we're good right now. All right, now we have our full list of 143 candidates. So you can see up top here, we're able to have candidates not contacted by the team within a certain time frame or viewed by the team. We also look for people that have personal emails or high availability as well. High availability, this is where these are folks that are filling on job boards. These are folks that are they're updating online profiles because that's usually a trigger. Someone might be looking for a new opportunity. Also, it's looking for companies that have high turnover. So if group one automotive over here, let's say they're having a lot of turnover, Hiretual's AI is going to pick that up and have people who are in that particular company, their availability bar is going to go up. So it's AI predicted, but it's based on user activity as well as company activity. So I'm going to move some candidates to the next stage called the good fit here. Also, I want to show you our market insights. So a lot of our recruiters using Hiretual are using this when they're qualifying a rec. So as they're sitting down with a hiring manager, with a client, they're actually able to go through and show them what the market looks like for the roles they're sourcing for. So this actually helps you set realistic expectations. It helps bring your client groups into your world. And that helps set yourself apart from other recruiters as well. I used to work at Aerotech Staffing Company before this. We used to pay Career Builder extra for this kind of information. Now it comes as part of your Hiretual license, and it comes from LinkedIn, Glassdoor, as well as US Census Bureau data. So we're getting just more market data on the roles we're working on, and it helps you have that consultative approach with your clients as well. So you can see the top past companies, is nice if you want to see there's certain companies that are having high turnover, the top industries, the top locations, the average market value. This will be just base salary, not necessarily equity and bonus, but it's good data to take back to an operations team or to a leadership team. You're saying, hey, we want to pay in this certain pay rate. Here's the types of candidates we're going to be looking at. Then also another great one down here is going to be our diversity. So now we can set, everyone wants to hire from these underrepresented groups, but not everyone knows what the market looks like going into it. So you can set realistic expectations and actually report this information back to the folks who are making the decisions on this hiring. And what's great is now I can actually export this report as a PDF. It comes out look like a really nice professional report that we put together, just in a matter of a couple minutes here, and you can send this off to your hiring managers, to your clients, to other recruiters on your team, and it helps just give them more information to help them with their sourcing or to help them with their rec qualification. You can put your company's watermark at the top here too. I just wanted to show you those market insights there. It's not part of it works into the sourcing and engaging workflow, but it's also can be used as its own. Just if when you're happen to be qualifying a rec. You can see we'll go to Jennifer's profile here. So I'll show you an example of a profile. You see we got an email and a phone number here. You got her availability, her average market value based on those sites that we're working with as well as what what Hiretual is also seeing from other candidates. So I can see we found her information on LinkedIn and Facebook here. We could select Jennifer as a good fit. All right, so the data is coming. Aurora, I just saw your question in the chat. The data is coming from, there's 45 different sources in particular. Under each profile, you'll be able to see where exactly Hiretual is finding that information. And these are clickable links as well. So if I wanted to actually go to her LinkedIn page, I have the ability to, although all the important information from her LinkedIn page will be here within Hiretual. Yep, so you'll be able to see under each person's picture where this information is coming from. You see Bonnie here is on Career Builder, so she's an active candidate. So we can select her as we can select Bonnie as a good fit. Right now, and you can always just go, let's just say maybe I want to open this position up to all of Texas, maybe I can just make a quick change here on the left. Now Hiretual is going to give me a new list of candidates that are stack ranked based on the preference I've told the system. So based on the 14 candidates I said are a good fit, here's where Hiretual determines the next batch of candidates will be the best fit. You see Chester, another candidate found on a Career Builder. Right, so I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's pretty much the sourcing workflow. I can add in, if I want to go to collaboration, I can add in a hiring manager, or I can add another recruiter and give them different levels of access to my projects. So I can actually bring in a hiring manager and have them screen the candidates. So not only that'll help develop the AI, but also it's going to help calibrate your recruiter so they can see, exactly which candidates the hiring manager thinks are a good fit. Right, I'm gonna move a large batch of these folks to my pipeline. Let's say all the work I do within Hiretual, it's all saved too. So I can click away from this and come back, and it's gonna be right where I left off. Also, you'll notice that there's gonna be 3 candidates that are already in our ATS. If Hiretual has different levels of functionalities of different ATSs, but some of them we're allowed to actually have a 2-way integration with the source candidates in our ATS. Looks like I already moved them to pipeline, and then you can actually source just from your ATS if you want. So we're mostly known for our open web sourcing, but Hiretual also has the ability, depending on your ATS, to source candidates out of it, where we call our a 2-way integration that creates a talent data cloud. So when new candidates are coming into your ATS at that point, they're being they're being also moved into Hiretual. So they're actually, you can take action on those candidates quicker, and they're screened to the recs that you're already working on. Oh, hiring insights data. Sorry, this is coming from LinkedIn, Glassdoor, as well as U.S. Census Bureau data. All right, so now after we're ready. Now we've sourced candidates. We're ready to start. Now we're ready to start reaching out to these folks. Hiretual allows you to integrate your corporate email. So now I can actually reach out to these folks with our 10-step automated sequence. You don't have to use all 10 steps, but you're able to use any amount to them, and it's really helping boost response rates, because a lot of these folks, they don't respond to the first email. If you have an automated follow-up set to go out a couple of days later, they're more likely to respond to that. So it's minimal extra effort for your team to set up these sequences, and they're always able to focus on sourcing new candidates. So we'll go ahead and select 200 folks here. You can engage with 200 folks at a time here in Hiretual, so you can really reach out in bulk. All right, you can see we have Hiretual's email addresses for 196 out of the 200 people. So well over a 90% contact finding rate. Only 4 recipients removed because we couldn't find their address. And then pretty much from here, you just you're going to plug in your sequence. I already have one ready to go. And you can hit confirm sequence down at the bottom, and Hiretual is ready to reach out to 196 people for you. And also have follow-ups ready to go. So now I'll show you what's going on here. A new feature that I personally really like here is going to be, we can add a poll to our, so it's easier to respond for our candidates. This is also helping boost response rate, and it competes with LinkedIn's easy reply, and it helps you get quicker action out of the candidate. We have different variables you can add into, like the candidate company. That way you're reaching out in bulk, but still personalizing your reach outs. We have insights available too. We have we have tens of thousands of recruiters using Hiretual on a daily basis. So now we can actually see, based on all the information, all the data going out of Hiretool, what's getting us the highest open rate, what's getting the highest reply rate. So as you're crafting your emails, Hiretual is actually giving you insights throughout to help you boost up your response rate, and based on what our other customers are doing in a similar space. All right. Now, if they don't respond to this first email, Hiretual sends a second email to them. Also, this is not a group email. All these folks are getting individual emails. If they don't respond to my second email, they get this third email 3 days after that. And if they don't respond to my first 3, they're getting this 4th email. And this is all customizable. This is just something I built out based on what I've seen our customers get high response rates from. But essentially here, now I've had 4 reach outs that go out in a 2-week period. No, I don't want to try them any more than that. I mean, you could change it to whatever cadence fits your workflow, or the industry that you're working on. But I have 4 reach outs that go out in a 2-week period. So at that point, I don't want to reach out anymore, but now I have an email that goes out every 30 to 45 days after. So now I'm keeping in touch with these folks. It helps my employment branding. It helps, it helps, build a relationship and get my name out there more. And you're more likely to catch these folks at the right time. So now my 6th email goes out 30 days after that. So now I've had my short-term blast to 200 folks. Then I have my long-term nurture campaigns as well, without really any extra effort. So now, because I want to nurture this talent community, especially if it's a really tough skill set. There's not a lot of folks in the industry. This is going to help you stay in touch with them. It helps boost your reply rate, and it's just going to help. There's going to Barbara or Angel here. No, we haven't heard back. We sourced them in October. Maybe they reply in January. They're interested. So for your evergreen recs, this is really going to help you, reach out to a higher volume of people, stay in touch with a higher volume of people, and eventually, it's going to really help with your long-term employment strategy. So you get your short-term mass reach out, but your long-term stay in touch with these folks. Checking the chat here. I like Tom's idea. 3 strikes, you're out. I like that. Yeah, again, and if someone does reply, if they reply with any, Shay, I saw your question. If someone replies with any of these quick replies, they're cut off. So even if Barbara says, yes, I'm interested, you're gonna have to you'll have to follow up with her on your own at that point. Hiretual's not gonna send this next email 3 days later. So when someone replies, it becomes, at that point you can move them to your ATS, or maybe make a note to reach out another time if they say contact later. All right. So that is the engagement sequencing within Hiretual. There's a lot of customization that you can do in here. I just wanted to give you a high level overview. You can add in calendar. You can schedule emails from here as well with the calendar link down at the bottom. I don't have my calendar plugged in, but you are able to do that as well. So you can quickly schedule if someone does reply. You can take quick action on your candidate. All right, that is the engagement sequence. I'll just minimize this in case anyone has a question. You can always minimize this and then come back and do more work within Hiretual. But typically the workflow from here is, the candidates will go to contacted, then replied. You can customize these stages to whatever workflow fits you or your client groups. You can, these are totally customizable. But typically when people, they reply, they're interested, you can export these folks to one of our 30+ ATSs that we work with. And you can push all that candidate data that we're finding on the open web into your ATS, or you can export them in a CSV or PDF as well. What's great is all this data we're finding online, like from the LinkedIn, from Angel's List, from Facebook, it's and Career Builder as well. We're putting that information into your ATS. So now it's a lot of good future legacy data as well for your recruiting team. So you're getting better up-to-date information into our ATS, as well as we have more ways to contact these folks in the future. You add a tag here. I just think there's anything, like I said, you can always, after you reach out to that batch of 200, you go right back to your surge results, get a new batch to reach out to. You can quickly maybe add another title or something like that. It's just, you're able to quickly go back and get more candidates. The AI is now very familiar with the candidates I've said are a good fit. And so really a couple, just to touch on the ATS point real quick, I'm going to go to my admin console. This is that 2-way integration with ATS that you're able to have information on. So this is where we have our talent data cloud of the information that you can have access to. So you can actually, because we're able to connect to our ATS, we're able to get much more insights into how, the candidates going into my ATS, where are they coming from? The gender of those folks, the ethnicity of those folks, top industries, the top companies. So now we're actually able to we're getting much more insights into what, like, the candidates going into my ATS from the top of the funnel. This is with that 2-way integration with our talent, we call it Talent Data Cloud. Not every ATS has this functionality, but a good chunk of the major ones that we work with are. And feel free to follow up with any kind of specific ATSs that you want to know. But here's all the ATS, the applicant tracking systems we work with. We're always, if there's someone you want us to integrate with, we have a partnership team that's always looking to add more as well. And really the last big thing I want to show you all is in the reporting feature. So this is your team, individual recruiters will have access to this information, but from a team admin perspective, you'll be able to really get very granular to the activity you can see from your team. Here's our actual contact finding rate the last 7 days at 91% over almost 70,000 candidates. So I actually sold myself short a little percent there. And it's usually about 97, 98% accurate too. So it's one thing to have a large talent pool of candidates to reach out to, but without accurate contact details, it's just a cool looking list of people. But I really want to show you is our diversity analytics. So within your ATS, folks are going to self-identify gender, ethnicity, but you really don't know at the top of the funnel how you're engaging with these folks. So now what Hiretual is going to do is we can actually break down, to really, the different underrepresented groups that your team's engaging with. So now we can actually see at the top of funnel, like how we're in, our view rate, our engagement rate, our apply rate. So now you know how people are performing in your interview process, but now you know how you're reaching out to them at the top of the funnel as well. So within your ATS, you'll have that data. Now at your top of funnel, you're going to have data as well on how you're reaching out to them. Maybe see if there's any gaps as far as response rate goes, as far as qualification rate goes. And also now you can actually build out metrics. You can figure out how many reach outs does it take to hire a women engineer. Now you can break down, hey, it took us this many reach outs. Now you can actually develop team metrics based on this data within Hiretual. This is all exportable as well. But now you can tell your leadership teams, like, hey, if you're missing, we're for short in this one area within diversity. Hey, well, we reached out to 20,000 women in this last quarter, in the last year. So now you can present data back to what your team is actually doing and help have more data-driven conversations and help bring leadership into your world and how this isn't easy. It's not just snapping your fingers and hiring these folks. Now that is the main parts of Hiretual I wanted to really show you today. There's a lot of other little things that you can do in here, but I don't want to take it away from the main message. The sourcing, the engaging, the diversity sourcing and analytics as well, and then the ATS integration. And I can go right back to my project. It's going to be right where I left off. And Hiretual is going to send me some new candidates tomorrow for this. I've been here for a couple of years, so I have a lot of open projects. I get a lot of emails from Hiretual on new candidates they found. All right, that's it. That's it for me today. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all going through the workflow there, and feel free to ask any questions. Oh, let's see, we got a question here from Tom. Solid name. Yes. So yeah, if we find someone within GitHub, Hiretual will also link you to their GitHub page. I'll go to one of my software engineer projects I ran recently here. You see for Carcade here, we found his GitHub page. We'll click on his GitHub link and we go straight to his GitHub page. So now if you got engineering managers who want to actually see what kind of work they're doing, this helps them get more visibility into the candidate. All right, Shannon, I'll pass it back to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Tommy. Wow, it's been a fun 3-part event. We've really enjoyed having you guys here. We had over 250 people registered. I think at some point you guys all managed to see it. So we will be sending out the slides and the recordings. Just give us a couple of weeks to get everything polished up. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's been a very successful 2021 for us, and we're really looking forward to proceeding with you guys in 2022. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to having you be a part of our community. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.